Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys Men's Olympic Hockey Tournament semifinal edition of the show, Friday, February 20th. Ian Cameron, we got Alex B. Smith back in the house, and we are down to the Final Four Men's Olympic Hockey version. Semifinal Friday. We will obviously get you ready for both Canada-Finland and the US and Slovakia in our two semifinal matchups here on Friday. And what a story the Slovaks have been. Certainly the surprise of the four teams that have made it to semifinal Friday here in men's Olympic hockey, but we'll get to that in just a moment. We'll start off by looking back at what was a really terrific quarterfinal Wednesday, aside from the first game, which was not only the worst game entertainment-wise, it was the worst game betting-wise for me because I took Germany against Slovakia, and wow, not very good from the Germans, especially defensively. Probably wasn't Philipp Grubauer's best game, but he got hung out to dry on multiple occasions by that German defense. You got to give Slovakia a ton of credit. I mean, they have been a very, very good, well-connected team at both ends of the ice, offensively and defensively. We've obviously seen Slavkovsky for them have a good tournament. A lot of the NHL players had a good game, got on the scoreboard. Dalibor Dvorsky, Pavel Regenda both found the back of the net for Slovakia in a very impressive 6-2 win, and more of a name brand. Slowly but surely, he continues to make for himself the one and only Samuel Halavai for Slovakia, who had another very solid showing in net for Slovakia in that victory against Germany. But full marks for them. They look like a tired team, a gassed team. Germany on the back-to-back. Remember, this is a team that doesn't have the NHL depth, to handle a back-to-back like maybe some other teams do, and it sure looked that way watching them play. It looked like they were lacking certainly a good deal of punch in that game, and Slovakia took it to them. So nice win to get the day started for Slovakia. That was the one dud, I guess you could say, of the day from an entertainment, from a drama standpoint. The rest of the day certainly had it. Canada-Czechia, the next quarterfinal. It's another sign that even though Canada, 5-0 in the preliminary round against Czechia, it's not easy to beat the same team twice. And we see that the team that loses 5-0 and you have to play them again a week later, that team goes overboard to make adjustments, to make corrections. Maybe the team that won that game comfortably, sitting on its laurels and thinking, hey, it's going to be pretty easy. By the way, we got a women's gold medal game where that fucking scenario is playing out right now. By the way, U.S. easy street against Canada in the preliminary round of the women's tournament. And here we are in the gold medal game. It's 1-0 Canada early in the second period. It's tough, especially at this highest level, best on best, to beat a team second straight time, especially when you embarrass that team the first time. And yesterday, Canada kind of found that out. The Czechs, man, full marks for them. What an effort. They didn't make it easy on Canada. They threw everything they could at them. I thought in the first period, they played Canada to a standstill, which you could not say about any part of the first meeting. It was just very, very impressive stuff from Czechia. They had a 2-1 lead after the first period. Of course, then we saw it, and Radko Gudas now is number one villain coast to coast here in Canada after taking out Sidney Crosby. I think it was just, it was hard hockey, hard hit. I don't think it was anything overly dirty or malicious, but it was just an unfortunate situation there that Crosby ends up getting hurt, leaving the game, and his status for the rest of the tournament in doubt, although John Cooper seems to think there's still a chance he could go in the semifinal. It's just day to day. They're not, jumping to conclusions about his status. Yeah, Alex, go ahead. You wanted to jump in.
I'm saying, you say number one enemy in Canada. I'm pretty sure they can't stand Radko Gudas in the Steel City of Pittsburgh right now, too, because as well of a season as the Penguins have had, you absolutely positively need number 87 in the lineup down the stretch. And so I'm sure, like I said, not just a nation waiting with bated breath, but certainly a city with their team and their potential playoff hopes and how far they can get to the postseason kind of hangs with that too. So yeah, definitely waiting to see what happens with Crosby. Hopefully, thankfully, like I said, initially doesn't look like anything serious.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, it looks like he avoided the worst case scenario. Like we were initially thinking, oh, is this going to take out a significant part of his season? Will he miss the rest of the tournament? Is he going to miss significant time for Pittsburgh when the NHL season resumes next week? But it's looking like it's less likely that's the case, which was a relief for everybody. Canada fans, Pittsburgh Penguins fans especially, but even hockey fans. No one wants to see Sidney Crosby out for an indefinite period of time. So they were without Crosby and down a forward the rest of the game. McKinnon ties it. And then I don't think you can get a more egregious miss too many men on the ice situation than that. I couldn't believe it. What's funny is I didn't even catch it watching it live, that there were 6 Czechia players on the ice when Palat scored to make it 3-2. What's amazing about this is that the refs clearly didn't see it, and that's egregious. There's 6 Czechia players celebrating after the goal was scored on the ice, and nobody picked that up. I'm even hearing John Cooper and Nathan McKinnon and McDavid after the game saying they didn't even really notice it. Like, how the hell did it slip everyone's mind? Everyone just had a one fucking big-ass collective brain fart all at once? Their eye, or just they turned into Stevie Wonder for a 10-second period there, lost their ability to see and their eyesight and their vision? Holy man, how did not one person pick up that there were 6 players on the ice for Czechia at that point in time? But that's bad that the referees didn't, because it's their job to notice stuff like that, especially in big spots, big moments like that. I mean, Alex, if they lose that game 3-2 and Nick Suzuki tie it with that unbelievable redirection, you talk about hand-eye coordination, that's as good as it gets to tie it. If they don't tie that game, we're talking about that as an all-time brutal loss. Not screw job, but just to lose on a bad on call. Too many men that was clear as day, 6 on the ice, 6 celebrating the goal on the ice, 6 players for Czechia on the ice celebrating the goal after they made it 3-2. We've been talking about that as one of the all-time wow. They really got, they really put it to Canada missing that too many men call.
Yeah, it would be a screw job. It would be right there. If you want to talk about Olympic history, you talk about how the U.S. basketball team got screwed in the 70s, Roy Jones Jr. getting screwed in Korea in 1988. It would be on that level if that had happened and you end up losing a game with clearly an extra man on the ice and that call not being called. So, yeah, that could have been disastrous.
But it wasn't. It ended up being just a footnote in history, because Nick Suzuki with a great redirection to tie it. It goes to overtime, and Mitch Marner, what can you say? Leaf fans have called him non-clutch all these years in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but when he dons the red and white for Canada, he's been pretty fucking clutch these last 2 years at 4 Nations, a game-winning overtime goal, the setup to McDavid in the gold medal game of the 4 Nations to beat the U.S. in overtime, and then, of course, the game winner to send Canada to the semifinals with a beautiful backhand roof job over Lukáš Dostal. No chance for Dostal on that, and Canada rescues themselves with a thrilling 3-2 victory in overtime over Czechia. It ended up being a very, very good game. Excellent game. Phenomenal game, in fact. But we heard the likes of, and I love Friedman does a great job. There's no denying that from an insider perspective. He's good. He's everywhere. Hockey Night in Canada. He's on NHL Network a ton of times. He's everywhere, both sides of the border. He's the Adam Schefter of the NHL. That's what he's become now, especially since Bob McKenzie, the Bob father, retired. But Elliot Friedman, I got to listen to Elliot right after that game. Maybe he was caught up in the moment, saying that's the best Canada game I've ever seen. Come on, Elliot, really? Can I remind you about a 1972 Summit Series? Can I remind you about maybe the best 3 fucking games I've ever seen in a Canadian international sporting event in hockey, the 1987 Canada Cup? Those 3 games against the Soviets in the 87 Canada Cup, 2 of those games were in Hamilton, right here, by the way. Incredible hockey. Messier, Gretzky, Lemieux, Coffey, Larry Murphy, Ray Bork. Do I have to go? It was a ridiculous team. It was stacked, loaded. Grant Fuhrer in net. I mean, it was just and the hockey was incredible. I think there were 2 overtime games, Alex, in the 87 Canada Cup. And I think they were both 6-5. And then the third game, which was a best-of-3 series to decide the Canada Cup, was like 6-5, but they won in regulation. The Gretzky to Lemieux goal with 1:26 remaining. The great call by the late Dan Kelly of that moment. I mean, just that's the best Canada games ever. Take your pick. 72 Summit Series, 87 Canada Cup. Hell, even 2010 gold medal game, Vancouver. Right. Canada, USA. Sidney Crosby, the golden goal, as Chris Cuthbert called it that day in Canada. That's amazing. This was a great game, Elliot, no doubt. But best Canada game ever? You got to be shitting me with that take. You got to be kidding me. Hearing that from him, which was pretty nuts to say that. No question. If you're any sort of hockey historian and you're hearing Elliot Friedman coming on the set there after the game saying best Canada game ever, you're rolling your eyes in disgust. Yeah, crazy. Crazy.
And it's just fascinating because you saw this on the timeline throughout the day where people were just, like I said, and like I said, maybe some people get caught up in the moment, right? And for the casual fan, that's fine. The casual fan, I expect to get caught up in the moment. But like you said, when you have an Elliot Friedman saying this is the best Canada game ever, when I see people who are working with TSN and CBC and different networks and different writers and beat writers talking about this is one of the best days of hockey that they've seen in years, because you have 2 or 3 games going to overtime. And it's like, okay, so you guys clearly don't watch hockey on a nightly basis. Where in the NHL, we talk about it on this show every single fucking day about the great games that go to overtime. We talk about draw season, the last second, goals and different things that we see. We watch the best hockey every single night as NHL fans, whether you're casual, whether you're a diehard, it's part of your jobs like you and I. And people, for some reason, have put the Olympics on this higher pedestal. And maybe, like I said, it's because it's their nation in the sense of Canada, where these are now the best games ever played. Really? Are they really? Like I've seen at least 7 or 8 more exciting overtime finishes in the National Hockey League this year than I did yesterday. And that's not to take away from the 3 games yesterday that went to overtime and the 4 games, because even that first game was exciting. We watched exciting hockey in the last 48 hours. Let's accept it as we watched exciting Olympic hockey over the last 48 hours. We're now starting to throw Mitch Marner back into the race as one of the best forwards in the league now because he got the overtime winner for Canada. The seesaw of Jordan Binnington. Jordan Binnington's a fucking bum with the St. Louis Blues. Jordan Binnington's God, and I would bet my children on him to win a game for Team Canada. Like the extremities are just absolutely fucking insane. And that's all I saw on X, all I saw on social media all day yesterday. And it just doesn't make sense. We forget what we've watched over the last 3 or 4 months and make what we've seen in the last 3 weeks gospel. And you're going to have people who now carry that over and they're talking about that on shows. And you're going to have people who decipher that and think, oh, now we're going to bump up Jordan Binnington 20 cents in his marker because of how well he played with Team Canada. No, like I said on Twitter yesterday, he's Superman when he has that black and red leaf on his chest, and then he becomes Clark Kent when he gets back to blue and yellow. So let's not fucking oversaturate ourselves with what we've just saw and that this is the greatest game and Mitch Marner is now a top 5 forward and Bennington's a top 5 goalie because it happened on this grand stage that we've set up that's supposed to be the best on best hockey, when in reality we watch the best on best hockey every night.
They almost have to separate NHL personality from international player personality with some of these guys. Like Mitch Marner's having a mundane NHL season with the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's call it like it is. He's having a mundane season. He's having an okay season. He's not having a phenomenal season. He's not going to get anywhere close to the 100 points he had the one season with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Jordan Binnington's been a mess with the St. Louis Blues in the NHL. So, we can't just say that because, he scores one of the biggest goals in recent memory for Canada, Mitch Marner, he's a top 5, top 3 player in the world right now, or Jordan Binnington's top 5, top 3 goaltender. He's great at in these moments, in these situations, great internationally, great at 4 Nations, Binnington, great so far in this tournament, great saves. And by the way, our friend Terry Edelman, we love the guy, but some of the Jordan Binnington nonsense from him, my goodness. I mean, talking about Jordan Shittington after the second goal, which he couldn't have done anything about. It was a great shot by Pasternak. The first goal went off a Canada player. And here's Terry in our group chat ripping Binnington and pointing the finger at him as the root cause of it.
And karma's a beauty sometimes, because then all of a sudden we get the report last week where this might be a potential trade where Robert Thomas and Mr. Binnington could be coming here to St. Paul, his beloved Minnesota Wild, in exchange for Jesper Wallstedt. Isn't that funny how that works sometimes? Yeah,
well, you know what? Your Jordan Shittington might be donning Minnesota Wild colors pretty soon. You just never know.
And that would be fitting, too.
And you're going to have no choice but to root his ass on and cheer him on. So, yeah, he's ripping on Binnington when things were looking very, very dubious for Canada at one point. Then they come back to win, and there's Binnington making not one but two gigantic saves, on Marty Necas. Marty Necas is going to have nightmares, by the way, last night. He had a breakaway in the third period against Binnington. Binnington made the save, and he had another dynamite, glorious opportunity in overtime, and Binnington shut the door once again. Two gigantic saves there. He made a couple other big ones late in the third and in overtime, and then Mitch Marner scores the game-winning goal, and then we're all saying Binnington making the couple of saves. I said, yeah, how about it, Terry? How about those big saves he made? Count them up for us. Count them up for us, Terry. How many big saves was that from Jordan Binnington? So
I'm going to give credit
a little bit. We did.
I want to give credit to Ian McMillan over at Ian MacBets on Twitter. He painted it beautifully. He says Binnington is a high ceiling, low floor goaltender. He plays an extremely aggressive style of play that can carry a team to win when he's at his best, but it can also lead to a few bad goals. So Canada doesn't need that style of goalie in net. They need a high floor guy who isn't going to make glaring mistakes. Now, like I said, you take what you will as far as the rest of this tournament, but he's dead on balls accurate with what he's saying about Binnington as a whole with whatever team he's playing with. I remember watching him wearing these uniforms as a Wolf, early in his career, and that was the same thing that had been said from scouts up and down over the years about Jordan Binnington. That's just who he is. And sometimes it can work. Sometimes you can end up riding that all the way to winning a Stanley Cup like he did in 2019, or winning a Four Nations tournament like he did last year, or possibly winning gold like he does this year. But that does not make him all of a sudden a top 5 or top 10 goalie in the National Hockey League, because we're talking about events that are involved currently in the National Hockey League.
No doubt. Yeah, like I said. But it's good for Canada. They faced some adversity. They found a way to survive it, and now they move on to face the team that won the next game on quarterfinal Wednesday, Finland, who had to come back from 2-0 down against Switzerland to win that game. How about our draw? We talked about it yesterday the last time I was with you. Finland-Switzerland draw. I liked it, plus 360. And how about the draw? Draw season is alive and well in the Winter Olympics at this men's tournament. 3 of the 4 games in quarterfinal Wednesday cashed the draw. So how about that? And I was on 2 of them as well, which was great to see 2 draw winners for me with this game and, of course, the last game, which we'll talk about in a minute. But great comeback by Finland. Leonardo Giannone, tip of the cap. Another great performance, even in a loss. He was absolutely terrific. Again, I don't think you could fault him really on many or any of the goals, quite honestly. The tying goal was in a scramble, and that was a perfect shot in overtime by Arturi Lehkonen for the game-winning goal for Finland. It was still a great performance from almost 39-year-old Leonardo Giannone for Switzerland. But Finland, that was real good guts shown by Finland. The game was just not going. It didn't look like they were going to score, for a vast majority of that game. But to get the 2 in the third, get the game to overtime, and then find a way to win 3-2. Well done by Finland to set up them and Canada in the first semifinal on Friday. And we wrapped up the day with the U.S. and Sweden. Very cagey game. I mean, obviously the over by Fecta was dead on arrival. Bad bets by me on that. And we lost Sweden money line and team total over. But the biggest bet of those 3 Sweden bets was the puck line. Sweden plus 1.5, used it as best bet on the show for the quarterfinal round. So nice to cash that. It was I thought both goaltenders were good. Give Markstrom credit, give Hellebuck credit. Both of them played very well for their respective teams. It ended up being Sweden getting the tying goal, obviously, in the latter part of the third period there. But then in overtime, Quinn Hughes, ice magician. That's what he should be called, the ice magician. Unbelievable. He just danced around, danced and pranced in that offensive zone, and then just waited, got everyone to shift around, found an opening. All that dancing and prancing by Quinn Hughes in the O-zone opened up the ice, opened up the room and the space he needed to just pick his spot. And you talk about a perfect shot. That was a rifle. That was a seed off the post and in. You couldn't have done it any better than that. Quinn Hughes is having himself quite the run since he arrived with the Minnesota Wild. You can trace it back to then. He has played incredible. To be honest, he's played, Norris Trophy level hockey since then. The question is going to be, has he got a furious finish to his season in him to maybe threaten the likes of Cale Makar and Zach Werenski for the Norris Trophy, who've had terrific seasons start to finish for their respective teams? But he might he might just barge his way into the conversation with the way he's playing right now. And what a friggin' goal he scored to win it for the United States in overtime, 2-1 to get past Sweden, and they will take on Slovakia on Friday in the second semifinal. And I will say one last thing before I get Alex's thoughts on that game. We did have a bargain bin winner. We did give you two, and one of them did come through. Freddie Tiffels for Germany got it done for us at plus 600 in the first game against Slovakia. So we'll take it. Best bet hit. One of the two bargain bins hit. You know, it was hit or miss with the rest of the bets. We lost the Canada team total, but we hit the over by Fecta with Canada and Czechia. So it was an up and down day, but we'll take it. We had a bargain bin winner, and we did hit Sweden plus 1.5 with the best bet. And more importantly, we had two draw winners. I had the draw in USA-Sweden as well, plus 360. And three of the four games were great viewing for any hockey fan. So overall, can't complain too much about the day. Alex, your thoughts on the remainder of the games?
Yeah, just the last thing I want to touch on, like I said, that finish with US-Sweden was fantastic. And you mentioned a great point about Quinn Hughes, how he's picked up his game since he's left Vancouver, gone to Minnesota. But the space that he creates for himself, the way he handles the puck, being a defenseman, he's one of those elite top-tier offensive defensemen that we always talk about there at Diamond does. You know, they're hard to find. And that's, you know, the biggest thing that pissed me off about that, though, was everybody bitching about the 3-on-3 format. That's why he has the space. That's why he looks so damn good. Whenever you see the Wild go to overtime lately, and they've been scoring goals, and they've been generating offense, why USA is generating offense in these spots? Because you have space on ice. We made this change in the NHL 10 years ago to go from 3-on-3 to 5-on-5, 4-on-4, because to create more space. Because games were going to this shootout format that everybody hates. Okay, nobody wants to see these big time games come down to a shootout, but yet everybody bitching about why is it 3-on-3? Why is it 3-on-3? It's 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes, so you can finally get a goal in overtime. You don't have to just see teams sitting on the puck and moving around, just dropping it back and forth to themselves like we watching the NHL every night. You got teams that are actively pushing in the pace because of the 10 minutes and the 3-on-3 rule. If anything, the NHL needs to look at increasing the 5 minutes to 10 minutes and making that a more open, iced overtime so we don't have this kind of loop around stuff where teams are waiting for the shootout. But you got people bitching left and right about it. And the dumbest take of the day comes from one of the dumbest people in sports media, Skip Bayless, who goes, hey, NHL, you guys should really think about using this 3-on-3 format. And I'm so glad that the first community note that pops up is, the NHL has been using the 3-on-3 format.
How many fucking hours of hockey has that guy watched in his life? P-brain
Zero.
there, baseless. Zero. So, yeah.
Just absolutely insane. It's just absolutely insane. Like the Olympics as a whole sometimes can bring out some of the worst fucking sports fans, in my opinion, and some of the worst fucking takes. And the hockey was fantastic.
That's also why he's off television now. What's he buried on some social media platform he's doing now? And I have never even heard of it anyway. So yeah.
Right. He probably gets less.
He's like he's like a pimple on my ass right now.
It's
Skip Bayless, as far as his media imprint is these days. Yeah.
Just the dumbest shit. And I bring all this up because this whole thing, right? This whole grow the game thing, right? We're trying to get people involved into watching hockey on a regular basis and paying more attention, creating these storylines and these narratives for the fans. But then you have all these dumb fucking takes, and you have people who are supposed to be respected talking about this is the greatest hockey game ever, and people who you recognize on sports media talk about the NHL should utilize 3-on-3, which they've been doing for 10 years. You have these idiots that saturate the social media portion. So the average fan who's just now clamoring on and saying, wow, this is great hockey. And then they go online and try to look for information because you couldn't find a post game for any of these games yesterday. The US-Sweden, as great as that overtime was, and you saw that goal maybe 3 or 4 times, and my local NBC affiliate switched over to the middle of fucking Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Instead
of
went
right to news or something. Yeah, right off the air. Yeah. Did Tirico even get to say goodbye? Thanks for watching.
No, we went right to Ken Jennings. They were in the middle of the second round of Jeopardy. Like, are you kidding me with this? Like, wow. Like, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? Like, this is supposed to be the grand stage, and everybody talks about it like it's the grand stage, but yet we're not treating any of it like it's the grand stage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great. I agree with Alex. Came loaded for bear. He was ready to. He was on fire for this show today. He was ready to unload, and boy, it's hard to disagree with much of your ranting. Much of it is great points from the very beginning with the overtime format, with obviously the just the friggin' up and down of emotions with Binnington and certain players. I mean, it's just I mean, it's insane. It's insane. It's insane. There's no question. But very entertaining quarterfinal Wednesday. We wanted to take a good amount of time to talk about it because it was one hell of a day for Olympic hockey for the men's tournament. It was great. Like 3 of the 4 games were outside. I mean, what can you say? 3 of the 4 games went to overtime. Really doesn't get much better than that. It was outstanding hockey. We can only hope the Friday semifinals have some quality hockey in store for us. So let's get into it. We'll start with the first semifinal on Friday. Canada taking on, and by the way, I got one last thing. I'm going to be so pissed if we finish recording this and I don't bring this up. This Czechia coach bitching about the officials, cry me a fucking river, man.
Oh my God.
Your team had 6 guys on the ice for what could have been the game-winning goal that could have sent Canada home and you to the semifinals, which shouldn't have counted. I can't listen to it. I can't listen to the complaining after that.
And then he said at one point that it felt like we were playing 6-on-6.
Yeah, that's the ironic part.
Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You really actually were playing with 6 players, you fucking moron. Jeez. Can't listen.
And then he tried to dump on him, saying, listen, I watch 2 NHL games on repeat every night. Yeah. Like he was swinging his dick around on that one. Okay, how many games will we watch?
If you want to flex your muscles and pound your chest about how much hockey you're watching, how about you put that against the 6-7 fucking hours every night I'm watching?
Exactly.
How about that? And you, for that matter. Yeah, exactly.
That was the crazy part of that rant to me. Hilarious.
Oh, a couple of games on replay. Get the fuck out of here. That's not watching hockey. That's not consuming hockey. That's not a big-time hockey fan doing that nonsense. Come on.
Wow.
That's not a big-time hockey guy doing that. Big-time hockey guy is me. 7 hours a damn night watching. Start to finish. Alex, too. Perlo. Go on down to so many of our great people that watch this show. That's people that are dialed in. Some guy watching bits and pieces of 2 games on replay in condensed form. Get out of here with that.
Yep.
Stupid.
Crazy.
Dumbass thing to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, Canada-Finland. You're going home anyway, Czech coach. So bye-bye. As that crazy announcer said with that junior clip that I posted in the that was nuts. Oh, boy, that was crazy. Yeah. Canada and Finland. We've got Canada minus 430 favorites, minus 2.5 on the puck line. Finland plus 330, plus 2.5 on the puck line. 5.5 the total in this game. So Canada got pushed by Czechia. Clearly, if they're getting pushed by Czechia, they can get pushed by Finland too. I mean, I'm certainly not in a rush to lay 2.5 goals in this game with Canada. And Finland's a team that, you start to see what they've done in this tournament so far. And I think it's fair to say, we didn't love the way they started the tournament. That was pretty rough for them, the way it started against Slovakia. But now we've got to look back on that a week later and admit to ourselves, maybe that loss isn't as bad as you think, because here's Slovakia making it all the way to the semifinals as well. So we can't really cast a light on that Finland loss to Slovakia like it's some terrible loss. It's really not, because Slovakia's played well in this tournament, and they're in the semifinals. They've made it as one of the final 4 teams left standing. So that was the one loss, and we saw obviously Finland roar back since then. They beat Sweden 4-1. Very impressive victory. It was probably also UC Saros's best game of the tournament in net for Finland. They absolutely beat the living daylights out of poor undermanned Italy 11-0 in their final preliminary round game. Yesterday, it was a bit of a rocky start, including for Saros. The 2 goals in the first period. I think one of them was a bit of a weak one for him to give up. But Finland, great resolve, great mental toughness. Didn't quit. It's a 3-period game, even though we're down 2-0, find a way. And they did. They tied it with the 2 goals in the third, late in the third. Both of them were in the final 5 minutes of the third to tie the game. And then the Arturi Lehkonen beautiful goal in overtime to come back and beat Switzerland in the quarterfinals. This is take plus 2.5 with Finland or nothing for me. I mean, I think it's a close game. I don't think Canada's going to just roll over this team. Now, I know you could make the argument Canada is top to bottom, still the most depth-laden team. All the great talent, 4-line wave and the blue line and Binnington playing well. I get that. But There is the specter of no Sidney Crosby potentially here for this game. We'll have to obviously wait to see what the final decision is from Cooper and the staff about Sidney Crosby playing here in this game. But obviously, you still got a lot to contend with for Canada going into this game. And this is going to be, I hate to make it so simplistic, but Finland, has the capacity to be a pretty good defensive team, and they're going to have to be. They're going to have to do a lot like they did. Czechia didn't make it easy on them. And you have to stay out of the box. Can't take penalties here in this game if you're Finland. So those are going to be the keys, in my opinion, going into this game here with Canada and Finland. I think I like the first period over in this game, and I think that's it. I think, when you come off the Czechia scare, I could see Canada being aggressive, assertive, try to get on the board early. Finland obviously gave up 2 goals. Now, they gave up 2 goals to Switzerland, but I know that game was a first period over in the quarterfinal round, and obviously Canada-Czechia also a first period over casher for them. So both teams got cashed first period overs in their quarterfinal matchups. So I think the first period over could get there. This could be maybe even a both teams to score, in the first period. That might be something to consider. That's what I like the most. I don't know if I'm going to take the plus 2.5 goals with Finland pregame, but I certainly lean that way. And what I like here as well, and I'll just make it known right now, there's no sense holding it in. I think there's a lot of people that could probably figure I'd be doing this anyway, coming off a quarterfinal round where 3 of the 4 games went to overtime. I will be on the draw in this game, and I will be on the draw in both games on semifinal Friday in this tournament. I think we got a chance both games could get past regulation, because I think Slovakia is going to be a pain in the neck for the United States as well. I don't think that's going to be a runaway by any stretch of the imagination. I feel the same way here. I know Canada is certainly top to bottom, depth-wise, blue line forwards, a little more than Finland, but Czechia pushed them. Now here's the difference. We love Dostal, Alex and I, and he was excellent. Tip of the cap to him. He was unbelievable. He gave Czechia a chance against Canada. He was spectacular in that game. You couldn't fault him. Not one of the Canadian goals you could have said, bad goal, Lukas Dostal. You couldn't say that. That's how good he was yesterday. I'll ask Alex this when he talks about this game, but I personally right now have a little less faith in Saros right now compared to Dostal. That would be my big concern. He's a feast or famine goalie right now. He could be amazing like he was against Sweden, and then he could be very ordinary, below average like he was against Slovakia in the first game. I didn't love the 1 goal he gave up of the 2 to Switzerland yesterday. So that's the difference. Saros, there's a little bit more of a variance and an up and down nature to what we've seen from him in net. But nevertheless, I like first period over and the draw. Those are what I like first and foremost here. Alex, Canada-Finland.
Yeah, you make a great point for both those plays. I do like that first period over. I was looking for both teams to score in the first period. FanDuel does not have that market available, but I will be adding that on. Of the 2 games, I like goals early. I feel like this could be a bit more balanced. Like I said, Finland can certainly push Canada. Like I said, we saw Slovakia do that. So Finland has the offensive forces to push a Binnington, get to him early. And like I said, that's going to be the name of the game really for both teams. Get to these goaltenders early, because they can be shaky. And like I said, especially with the Saros. Saros is a guy that you can, you avalanche him, get 3 or 4 goals, and put this thing away for Canada potentially. So, like I said, Finland's got to be tight defensively, but they can't afford to just sit back and play a shutdown tight game to where they forget about offense, because Canada, we know, has the horses to still find ways to score, even if there's no Crosby in the lineup. Even if they have to shake things around, they have the talent to do that. So I do like that first period over 1.5 minus $1.04, but I also will have both teams to score in the first period as well once that market's open. Draw makes complete sense. Like I said, plus 410 is what I'm seeing at FanDuel. I would grab a piece of that, and I'll grab Canada to win.
475 at BetMGM. Wow.
Oh, okay.
For that draw.
Wow. So yeah, definitely shop around. But at FanDuel, I would grab the 5-1 on Canada to win in overtime or a shootout. Remember, this can go to a shootout potentially if there's still tied after the 10 minutes of 3-on-3. So those are the ways I'll play it. Nothing with a side, of course, this big pregame. But I do feel like if this gets to overtime, Canada obviously will have the edge. Maybe look at a Macklin Celebrini to get the game-winning goal. I saw that 20-1 was the market for him to score in that range. Once again, those markets are kind of up and down, so shop around for those. But Canada to win in overtime or shootout, game to go to overtime via the draw, and first period over, both teams to score. Those looks like.
All right, there we go. Both Alex and I pretty much along the same wavelength here when it comes to Canada and Finland. Oh my gosh, even better. Bet365 for the draw. Canada, Finland plus 550. Wow. That's getting good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow, that's getting real good because I could see this being a 2-2, 3-3 type of game. Absolutely. Yeah. Going past regulation for sure. I think the 5.5, it's going to be one of these deals where it's going to be a sweat again. We've had a lot of these 3-2 third periods, and then it's a flip of a coin whether you get that sixth goal, to push it over the total. Either empty net from the team that's leading or the tying goal for the team that's trailing. So that's why I definitely prefer first period overlook here compared to the full game. As far as props go for Canada, Finland, you said Celebrini. This is not a state. He's not scared of anything or anybody of this kid. So his goal prop is always worth a look. No question about that for Canada. He'd be one to stand out. I don't know why, but I saw Thomas Harley jump into the play a couple times and get some looks and shots on Dostal. He might be someone to look at from the blue line, maybe being able to chip in a goal for Team Canada here in this one. But Celebrini, we're going to have to see what the line combinations look like without Crosby, who's going to take that spot. It's going to be the interesting question moving forward if he doesn't play, but he hasn't been ruled out yet, so we can't speculate on that too much. Brandon Hagel's on the second line with McKinnon and Suzuki, so there could be some value there. For Finland, I would look at, I like Granlund's game. Granlund's been good in this tournament. He's on the top line. Lehkonen, who scored the game winner against Switzerland, I think is worth a look as well. And I'm still going to stick to Anton Lundell for Finland as well on that third line. I think he is a guy that always seems to bring his best in the biggest games. I'll look no further than his time with Florida. So those are definitely some of the props I am interested in there in that Canada-Finland game. All right, second semifinal, USA and Slovakia. By the way, Canada-Finland, 10:40 a.m. Eastern Time. USA-Slovakia, 3:10 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday afternoon. USA minus 850 favorites, minus 2.5 on the puck line. Slovakia plus 570, plus 2.5 on the puck line. And the total here. Now, the total here is 6 in some spots, 5.5 in other spots. So shop around with the total. We're seeing a split here between 5.5 and 6 as far as this total is concerned with USA and Slovakia in this one. You're looking at these two teams, and the one thing I'll say about Slovakia is certainly against Germany, give them credit, 6-2. They were certainly able to find the back of the net there, which to me was pretty impressive. I'm going to take a sprinkle here on the Slovak team total. I don't know about winning. I'm not going to go that far that Slovakia wins this game, but the 1.5 that's out there with Slovakia's team total, I've underestimated Slovakia, and I've underestimated their goal-scoring prowess all tournament long so far, this Slovakian team. And I know the U.S. is coming off, I think a pretty solid defensive effort against Sweden in the quarterfinal round where they only gave up 1 goal. But the fact remains, it's certainly in the NHL, Alex, we're not able to bet team totals over 1.5, pregame. Maybe in-game if they go almost 2 periods without scoring, we're going to get, 1.5 live, but certainly pregame, we're not going to get that. But they have been more of an offensive force than certainly I thought coming into this tournament. They scored 4 goals against Finland in their opening game of the tournament. We saw them score 3 against Sweden in their 5-3 loss in their second game of the tournament as well. Or that was their third game. And, of course, they had the 3 spot against Italy. Although they had 38 shots, it could have been more than 3. Bottom line is, and, of course, we saw what they did against Germany. They put a 6 spot on the board. So they've scored 3 minimum in each game in this tournament. And all we need is 2. Now, I know this is the best team they've probably faced outside of, the Sweden game and the Finland game. But, again, they played Sweden and Finland in the first round. They beat Finland, and I thought they hung tough with Sweden for most of that game. So I like the team total. I'm not screwing around with the plus 2.5 because here's the thing. think the U.S. A part of me thinks the U.S. might have an offensive uprising here, because they could generate chances. I always worry about the bubble burst, even though he's been one of the stories of the tournament. Sam Halavai in net for Slovakia, who has certainly is a major component as to why Slovakia is here. He's been really, really strong in net. One of the surprises of the tournament, not just the team itself, but the goaltending they have received from Sam Halavai. But this is a U.S. team that's got quite a bit of potency, dynamic defensemen like Zach Werenski, like Quinn Hughes, that can make the D circle around in their own zone, and oftentimes it leads to circling the drain because they bury one on you, because they just get that puck moving so well, and you just can't stay with it and lock in your coverage that long in the defensive zone. So I do get concerned about that here for a bit with Slovakia, but I think Slovakia is good enough here to get towards the 2-goal mark. So pregame, I like that. Over 1.5 Slovakia team total. It's by far the favorite side or total look for me in this game is just Slovakia get me 2 goals. I think they've got it in them. 3+ for them in every game so far in this tournament. And, of course, another draw, which I already mentioned, like in the draw in both of these games. I think this one, look, the U.S. probably has the less difficult opponent here. Although Slovakia, like I said, we've underestimated them. We keep saying, Slovakia, not as difficult, not as difficult, not as difficult. And all they do is they keep showing up, and they beat Finland. They give Sweden a tough game. They beat and pummeled Germany, obviously, in the quarterfinal round. So they are clearly, and you know why they're tougher too, is Slavkovsky's been great, and all the NHL guys have been great for them. Regenda's been great. Dvorsky, the kid from the St. Louis Blues, has had a terrific tournament for Slovakia so far. The Blue Liners have all played solidly. And, of course, they're getting the great goaltending out of Halavai. So, like I said, I think they're going to be a pain in the neck, in my opinion, for Slovakia. I think the U.S. is going to win. I think they're going to find a way to survive and get to the gold medal game. But I think it's going to be a test. It's going to be a challenge. I don't think it's going to be a walkover for this USA team here in this spot versus Slovakia. So the draw, I'm just shopping around right now, Alex, to see the best prices out there. And I'm seeing as of now, it looks like there's a plus 625 on it at BetMGM. It wouldn't surprise me if Bet365 has the best price. No, only 600 at Bet365. So the best price I see right now on the draw is BetMGM, which has plus 625 on the draw for USA and Slovakia. Alex, what do you think here, US-Slovakia?
This is one where I'd be a little bit more cautious of the draw, especially depending on what happens in that first game. If the U.S. sitting back and they're watching Canada-Finland play in a close game and Finland pulls that upset, I think we get the U.S. going balls out, and I think they can get this 5.5 on their own. So I like this over. Either way you shape it, like I said, Slovakia can get the goals as well. I probably will grab a piece of that, seeing minus 115 for over 1.5. I do think Slovakia will be able to score some goals on Hellebuck, but this feels like it could be the more wide open of the two games. Like I said, that total 5.5 is a little dicey when you're talking about Canada, Finland. I could easily see that being 2-2. This is one where I could see where Slovakia chips in some goals, but the USA just jumps out and gets things rocking and rolling. So I like the USA. This is one where I'd be leaning more toward laying the 2.5 than taking the draw personally. But I'm on that over 5.5. Minus $1.40 pregame. I have no problem laying that. First period over, I will wait for because this is a later game. Try and grab a little bit of a better price with that. But I do like the over here at 5.5, and I like that Slovakia team total look as well.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. This is right now. Like I said, I'm probably going to wait for that 5.5 to drop a bit. That I'll target that. I kind of want plus money on that 5.5, but right now it's like minus 140 is what I'm seeing at most spots with it. I see DraftKings has minus 135. Bet365 I think has minus 1. You definitely want to wait at Bet365 because over 5.5 is minus 150 there. So it's pretty pricey there. But there are some props I like for this game. For the U.S., I mean, Quinn Hughes is just he is always a threat with the puck. And obviously he's not scared to shoot either. So I don't see why you can't go back to the well with Quinn Hughes goal prop here in this game. That is a goal prop I cashed with against Sweden. I did take Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes and Zach Werenski. I've basically, Alex, been betting them to score every game because I know they're always a threat to shoot the puck from anywhere and find the back of the net. So I would say Hughes and Werenski once again have that chance to find the bat. I think Boldy, a sharpshooter in a game of this magnitude, playing with Matthews and Gensel. I could see him obviously having a real shot here as far as finding the back of the net for the U.S. And I think there's some good value looks for Slovakia. Slavkovsky, it's almost like you can't bet any goal props on Slovakia without including Juraj Slavkovsky. That's how good he's been. But I'll throw out Dvorsky and Regenda. Both of them scored against Germany. They're NHL players. Regenda's played a handful of games with the San Jose Sharks. Dvorsky's now played a lot of games with the St. Louis Blues before this tournament started. And they don't look like this tournament they're in awe of anybody. They're playing with confidence. They're finishing their opportunities when they get the chance. So those are two players that automatically stand out outside of Slavkovsky, Dvorsky, and Regenda for Slovakia that I think are good goal prop considerations here. The other one I would look at, too, is he's centering the top line. He's been around a long time. Adam Ruzicka, this is a guy that also played in the NHL a long time ago. Not anymore, but he used to play in the NHL, Adam Ruzicka. And right now, he's centering the top line here for Slovakia. All right, there you have it. That's the two semifinals. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. We have one more Olympic hockey show to go, and it'll be Saturday. We'll be recording it. We'll be uploading it to our Patreon members on the Patreon page early Saturday afternoon, approximately 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And in that show, we'll just take care of the bronze medal game, which is Saturday afternoon, and then the gold medal game Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We'll preview both of those on the Saturday show, so we'll post that early Saturday afternoon. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Again, daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions as well. Check it out, wizardsportspicks.com, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Again, we appreciate the support, the people that have just become members over the last couple weeks during the Olympic hockey tournament. And the real bonus for all our Patreon members is we've given you these shows instant access, the VIP access, if you will. Like, we've posted these shows first for you guys, and then we release them about several hours later to everyone else publicly on the Ice Guys YouTube channel. It's our way of just saying, you know what, a special extra, here you go, guys, for your support, for being Patreon members. You get first dibs on the men's Olympic hockey shows that we've been recording for you. So we appreciate all the memberships. Again, $10 per month, goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card for the remainder of the men's Olympic hockey tournament, sides, totals, player props. I will continue to give you some NBA and college basketball on the Patreon page on a daily basis until the NHL resumes next Wednesday. So continue to look for that. And like I said, countdown's on. 6 days from now, the NHL will be back in action, and we'll be back to our daily live show format right here on the Ice Guys. And yes, I mentioned it previously, too, when we promoted Patreon. We will be talking in an interview very soon with Jason Seed, who suited up for Italy at the Winter Olympics. And it'll be fun to hear his experiences and talking about, his time playing for Italy there at that tournament. So that'll be a Players Suite interview coming up in the near future. That will be available to our Patreon members only. So looking forward to that. Again, $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So get on board, just $10 per month. Now's the time, especially with NHL about to begin. We're going to have a ton of live bet casts once the NHL resumes in March and beyond for our Patreon members. So $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You got 4 days. So this entire weekend, you can save 20% off all orders at the Ice Guys store. Just hit the redeem button at the homepage, add your items to your cart, and 20% will be taken off the checkout. So we got spring right around the corner. It's a great time to get a new t-shirt, a new hoodie, a cap, a jacket, anything that we have right now. Save 20% off in the next 4 days. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, good stuff. We got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Walk away, leaving who they
Thanks to all our sponsors. And again, 20% off. Check out that Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. We had 2 for you on Wednesday for the quarterfinals, and we cashed one of them. Frederick Tiffels, thanks to him for Germany, plus 600. See if we can add to it with bargain bin special of the night for semifinal Friday. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Let's go to that late game, Slovakia and the USA. And you mentioned that he's just been absolutely electric during this tournament. He's been electric since leaving Vancouver and coming to St. Paul. Quinn Hughes, anytime goal scorer you can get at FanDuel right now, plus 460. Look for him to light the lamp once again. Quinn Hughes, Team USA is my bargain bin special.
All right, there you go. No argument. Quinn Hughes is live every game right now to find the back of the net shooting. He's playing with great confidence. So Quinn Hughes for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, same game, but for the other nation. I'm going with a Slovakian bargain bin special of the night. Give me Dalibor Dvorsky for Slovakia. Plus 430 is the best price at FanDuel for him to find the back of the net. He's had a great tournament. Scored against Germany in the quarterfinal round, multiple goals in this tournament, playing with great comfort, centering that second line for Slovakia. Great value for a player playing with great confidence and finishing offensively so far in this tournament. So Dalibor Dvorsky for Slovakia, plus 430 for my bargain bin special. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's go with that first game, Canada-Finland, and I like the draw quite a bit. Like I said, you can get a price as high as plus 550 over at Bet365. That's absolutely crazy value in my opinion. So give me the draw with Canada-Finland. That's my best bet.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I've ever done a best bet. I think maybe once in my lifetime I've done a draw best bet. That is definitely something that is best bet, I think, material, that Canada-Finland draw. It's not my best bet that I'm about to give you, but I think it's worthy of consideration to be a best bet. I think it's got a real shot. That's a great price, plus 550 for Canada-Finland with that draw. I will stay with that game, but actually I will give you, because I know there's been some people that say I don't get to watch the shows, so I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a best bet for each game here. I'm going to give you the Slovakia team total over 1.5 minus 115 against the U.S., and I will give you first period over for Canada and Finland. So there you go. A little bonus here. One best bet, one from each game. First period over for Finland and Canada. Again, that's a pretty reasonable price when you look at it. I know Bet365 has the first period over at minus 105. You're getting plus 100, minus 105 in that range for first period over. Canada-Finland, that'll be my first best bet. The other will be that Slovakia team total over 1.5, minus 115 against the U.S. So there you go. A couple of best bets here for the semifinal Friday. All right, that's a wrap. We got one more show, as we mentioned, Saturday. Check it out on the Patreon page Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll make it available later in the day to everyone else on the Ice Guys YouTube channel. Bronze and gold medal game preview coming up in that show. And then after that, we're back live and in color. That's right. Live as usual. The live shows return Wednesday next week, 2 p.m. Eastern time, when the NHL regular season resumes. And look at that smile. I know Alex is ready for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No doubt. All right, great stuff. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is with you throughout the remainder of the men's Olympic hockey tournament. And then when the NHL resumes next Wednesday, we are live once again, 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy semifinal Friday in the men's Olympic hockey tournament, and good luck with your wagers. We'll see you again on Saturday to tee up the bronze and the gold medal game in the men's Olympic hockey tournament right here on the Ice Guys.